wasn't supposed to be here. The underworld reeked of damp stone and sorrow. Cold air clung to my skin like cobwebs. I, Persephone, who once danced barefoot in meadows and wove flowers into crowns, now found myself imprisoned beneath the earth, a reluctant bride of the dead. Hades watched me from across the long obsidian table.
Eat,
he said softly, gesturing to the silver platters of food, charred meat, blood-colored wine, and fruits that oozed a syrupy darkness. I said nothing. I hadn't spoken since I was taken. He brought me here. He who called himself king. He who dragged me down without asking. He who now sat in silence, watching my anger rot into despair. I want to go home, I said finally. He looked at me unmoved. Let me go. I stood, shoving the grotesque platter to the floor. The wine splashed like blood. The meat thudded like a severed limb. You have no right. He didn't flinch. His face was carved from stillness. I hated the cold of this place. It clung to everything, walls, breath, thoughts, and him. I ran. Through silent corridors and winding halls lit by cold blue fire. I ran past pale spirits, each twisted in their own echo of suffering. Their eyes followed me. Some reached out, others whispered in tongues I couldn't understand. There was no sun, no warmth, no green, only grey, endless grey. I ran until my legs gave out, until the despair and hunger buckled me to my knees. My stomach gnawed at itself. My throat was cracked earth. And then I saw it. A fruit, half buried in dust, crimson glistening, a pomegranate. I remembered sweet peaches, honeyed figs, my mother's garden. I picked it up, one seed, just one. I bit down. Warmth bloomed. My body tingled. A memory. Sunlight filtering through olive leaves. Laughter. My mother's arms. Another seed. My friend's voice. The smell of spring. Another and another. But soon the memories began to blur. I couldn't recall who I was laughing with or what my mother looked like. I kept eating, chasing warmth. Then came the pain. It began as warmth beneath my skin, then flared into fire. My veins turned black, bulging like crawling roots. I scratched in panic, skin flaking in ashen curls. Something was growing inside me, and it wasn't human. Then I saw it. A crack in the stone, narrow, leaking faint air. I stumbled toward it, breath thin, vision swimming. Step by step I climbed, limbs shaking. The passage was jagged and close, like the throat of something dying. When I surfaced, the world above was quiet, the wind soft, but I was not the same. My hands, blackened, thin, dry like the dead. My reflection in the lake showed hollow eyes, skin turning grey. I looked like him, Hades. I hid. I couldn't let the mortals see me. They would scream. They would burn me. I, who was once a goddess of spring, now looked like a corpse. Worse, where I walked, the grass withered. Trees lost their leaves. Flowers curled into themselves. Animals grew still. I touched a sleeping deer. It twitched, then convulsed. Its fur peeled, its bones shifted. It stood again, not as a creature of life, but as something else, something rotting. Everything I touched changed. The trees I passed twisted, their bark cracking, mouths opening in their trunks, teeth made of thorns. But just before I turned to flee again, something shifted. I saw a soul, a wandering spirit, lost and shaking. Not of this world. Not yet. He was young, maybe 16. His clothes were tattered, and his eyes, wide and brimming with salt, searched the shadows like they held answers he couldn't bear to lose. I didn't know why I come closer to him.
No, I don't want to go yet. Persephone,
He whispered when he saw me.
my mother is still waiting. She thinks I'll come home. I didn't mean to fall in the river. I didn't say goodbye.
My chest ached. In his eyes I saw the same fear I had carried, of being torn from a life not yet finished, of being pulled into a place you never chose. He clutched a small pendant, a bird carved from wood worn smooth with love. What was her name?
Eleni. She makes bread every morning. She leaves mine by the window even now.
I didn't know why I felt empathy. I reached out, afraid, but gentle. He didn't scream. He nodded. When my fingers brushed his cheek, he sighed, a soft breath like letting go. His eyes closed and his body gently slackened, as if sleep had finally found him. From his chest, a soft glow pulsed. In that stillness, a flower unfurled, not from soil, but from spirit. Then another bloomed from his shoulder, and one more from his palm. A handful of pale blossoms opened, soft as breath, drifting around him in silence. They glowed faintly, a quiet farewell. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the trees, deep, ancient.
Wife of mine.
A towering figure emerged, cloaked in shadow, crowned with bone, but not monstrous, familiar.
You've been running, Persephone, but you've been becoming.
Becoming what?
You ate the seeds. You carry the underworld in your blood. But what you see, death, rot, is shaped by your fear.
I didn't want this.
And yet, here you are. Even now, look.
I turned. Around me where I once walked, yes, the trees were blackened, but now small flowers bloomed along their roots. Quiet ones, swaying like sighs.
When you fear, you see horror. But when you look with kindness, you see truth.
I stared at my hands. Not beautiful, not youthful, but steady. I looked again into the lake. Not the girl I was, not the corpse I feared. Something else, something still, something blooming.
Come home. They need you.
We descended, through tunnels and shadows back to the place I once fled. But it was not the same, or perhaps I wasn't. The spirits gathered around me, whimpering, trembling. I knelt, I touched one. A flower sprouted from her spine. I held another hand and whispered a memory. His eyes filled, then softened. He stayed, transparent, quieter, but present, as pale petals drifted around him like snowfall. He didn't need to disappear to find peace. I walked the halls, and with each touch, a garden grew in my wake. I wasn't spring anymore. I was something deeper. Not the end, not the beginning. I was what lay between.
My daughter, please come back to me.
I am Persephone, the blooming below.
Everyone at the market called me a thief or a street rat, but I didn't care much. I was just an ordinary guy struggling to get food and survive each day. So what if I stole? I didn't need anyone's approval. This time, I stole the lamp from the antique dealer. I heard it was the most valuable item he was bringing to the noble's auction. But the lamp was old and scratched. I wiped off the dust covering the lamp. Once, twice. By the sixth wipe, the lamp suddenly shook violently. Red smoke poured from its spout. When the smoke cleared, a massive figure with a deep, booming voice appeared before me.
I am the genie. You have awakened me from my long slumber, and now you are my master. I shall grant you 3 wishes. But be careful what you wish for, because I will fulfill them in my own way.
I trembled at the genie's appearance, but excitement soon drowned out my fear. Since birth, I'd never owned anything of value. The things I stole barely got me a few coins, just enough for scraps of bread to fill my empty stomach after days of hunger. I wouldn't waste this chance. Without hesitation, I made my first wish. I wished to become the richest man in the kingdom.
Your wish is my command.
That night, as I slept, a strange light jolted me awake. Unbelievable. Treasure chests appeared before me, filled with shiny gold, silver, and jewels. I picked up a gold coin, but my fingers met a sticky, metallic stench, like blood.
You wish to be the richest, and so you are. For there are no wealthy men left. They are all dead.
My grin froze. The treasure chests belonged to the nobles of the kingdom. The genie had slaughtered them all, and now their riches were mine. I glanced at the blood-streaked gold, the metallic scent growing stronger. No matter. They were mine now. I was the richest. From this day on, I'd drown in silk and luxury.
You have 2 wishes left. Be careful what you wish for.
I dressed in fancy silk robes and shiny jewels. Wherever I went, crowds gasped with envy. Then my eyes were drawn to a stunning figure. It was Princess Jasmine. I had all the gold and silver I could ever want, but now I desired more. I wanted her. I wanted to possess the most beautiful woman in the kingdom. I approached the princess and gave her a dazzling gemstone. "Oh, beautiful Princess Jasmine, I fell in love with you at first sight. Will you grant me the honor of being your beloved?"
Silk and jewels can't hide your vulgar and lowly nature. Stay away from me. I would never accept a street rat like you.
As she walked away, my pride shattered. I couldn't accept this. I pulled out the lamp and made my second wish. I wished the princess's heart. She must be mine. That night, as I polished my treasure chests, the genie appeared. He dropped a dripping, bloodied heart into my palm.
Your second wish is granted. The princess's love is yours. Remember, you have only one final wish remaining.
News of the princess's murder shocked the entire kingdom. The king ordered soldiers to hunt down the killer in every corner of the kingdom. No, I can't be caught. As I turned to escape, I crashed right into a soldier.
Seize him! This is the suspect seen with the princess!
In my panic, I grabbed the lamp and shouted my final wish. "Make me king! I want to rule this kingdom!" When I awoke, I was inside the king's palace, but the sight before me was horrifying. The genie held the king's severed head like a trophy. His monstrous grin chilled me to the bone.
Your final wish has been granted. You are now the king of this kingdom.
He tossed the head at my feet. Overwhelmed by terror, I staggered and vomited.
Enjoy your wishes.
Suddenly, the doors burst open. Soldiers stormed inside.
Arrest him! He slaughtered the nobles, the princess, and now our king! We won't tolerate this monster!
Too broken to resist, I let them drag me away. In that moment, I realized that my life was ruined. This was the price for my 3 greedy wishes.
I am Julia. I have been shunned by the entire village because of the ugly scar on my face. I lived with Marcus, a blind man with a pure heart. But sometimes I wondered, if Marcus could see my ugly face, would he still love me? Though my heart was filled with worries, I still loved Marcus dearly. Recently, couples in the village had been mysteriously disappearing. The villagers believed that our love was a curse that brought misfortune upon them. Whenever we went out, they would point fingers and curse at us. One furious couple even shouted.
Go away, you cursed pair!
Overwhelmed by anger, I picked up a small stone and threw it back at them. The murmurs and gossip grew fiercer. But the next day, that couple suddenly went missing. The villagers immediately accused us of being the culprits. We were dragged into the street and pelted with stones. I cried and tried to prove my innocence, but the villagers ignored me. Suddenly, the village chief appeared. He calmed the crowd, urging them to continue searching for the missing couple. The villagers reluctantly dispersed. The chief whispered to us.
Poor souls, go to the statue of Cupid and pray sincerely. He will take pity on you and grant you blessings.
We thanked the chief and followed his advice. We were praying before Cupid's statue, but a voice suddenly echoed.
Who is praying here? Cupid cannot turn a blind eye to unfortunate love. Oh, you pitiful souls, follow me.
Cupid led us to his castle, where we were welcomed with a feast. Marcus joyfully drank a glass of wine. For a brief moment, I saw his eyes come to life.
I can see the light. Is that you, Julia?
His joyful expression suddenly turned to horror. I didn't understand what was happening, but I knew at that moment Marcus had seen my ugly appearance. Shame overwhelmed me. Marcus's eyes returned to their usual blindness, but his face twisted in pain.
That was the temporary effect of the divine wine. Don't dwell on it. Now tell me your wishes.
I immediately begged Cupid to bless us with eternal love so that the villagers would accept us as normal people.
I wish to share my desire in private.
Unable to bear the worry in my heart, I followed them and eavesdropped from behind a wall.
Make me able to see, I'm begging you.
Very well, but on one condition. You must offer a heart in exchange.
Marcus fell silent, but his silence was like a deafening explosion in my heart. After the wine feast, we returned home.
I am Marcus. A cruel illness stole the light from my eyes. If I regained my sight, could I find a prettier girl? But Julia had cared for me all this time. How could I betray her? Suddenly, I heard the village chief's voice.
Is something troubling you, young man?
I poured out my heart to him. The chief whispered.
True love demands sacrifice. Stop hesitating. Take her heart in exchange for your sight. Your life will be happier.
I stood over Julia's bed, listening to her steady breaths. She was deep asleep. Julia's tearful voice broke the silence.
Marcus, this breaks my heart. You don't have to dirty your hands.
She pressed the blade through her own chest.
Be happy. Take my heart for your eyes.
Oh no, what had I done? Julia was the one who loved me most in this world, and yet I had betrayed her. No, I had to beg Cupid to save her. Cupid, where are you? I called out, but there was no answer, only a chilling silence. I groped in the darkness, and my hand touched something rough, shaped like wings. I had heard that Cupid had wings. But if the wings were here, where was Cupid? Suddenly, a voice rang out.
Have you brought the heart?
My hands trembled as I held Julia's heart. Her heart was snatched away. Is that you, Cupid? Please return her heart and bring her back to life. I no longer want my sight.
There is no Cupid here, you naive fools.
A stinging pain burned my cheek as I trembled in fear. What do you mean?
I need 100 hearts from loving couples to create the elixir of immortality. You were so easy to deceive. The village chief received a hefty sum for luring couples like you here.
I was devastated. It was all a scam. I couldn't hold back my tears. Julia was dead because of my impulsive trust in that fraud and the village chief.
Now your hearts belong to me.
It all started with a story. I was sitting in the back of the classroom, my legs stretched out under the desk, smirking as the new teacher, Ms. Evelyn, told us about Pinocchio. She had a haunting way of speaking, her voice soft but piercing, as if it could slice through your lies and expose every hidden truth.
Lies,
She said,
don't just twist the world around you. They twist you. They reshape you into something you don't recognize.
I rolled my eyes. Cool story, miss, but we're not 5 anymore. The class chuckled, and I basked in the attention. I was Beano, the untouchable. My dad's money kept me safe no matter what I did. That afternoon, Jim became my target again. Skinny, quiet, and always an easy pick. Hey, Jimmy boy, I called, snatching the milk carton from his hands. Before he could react, I dumped it over his head.
Stop, please.
Jim's voice cracked as he wiped milk from his face. But mercy wasn't my style. As he tried to escape, I loaded my slingshot with a small stone. But Jim turned at the last second. For a second, I just stood there, the slingshot slack in my hand. Then the fear kicked in. My heart pounded, but I did what I always did. I walked away. Let someone else find him. That night, I couldn't sleep. The image of Jim falling replayed in my mind. When I finally drifted off, I woke up to a strange stiffness in my legs. I threw back the covers and gasped. My left leg was straight, rigid, and unnaturally smooth. Running my hand over it, I realized with growing horror, it felt like polished wood. This isn't real, I muttered. Pulling on a pair of jeans, I forced myself to act normal. All the attention that morning was on Jim. Whispers circulated about how he'd been found unconscious, hospitalized with no sign of waking up. My stomach twisted. Surely that couldn't be my fault. Could it? Then the police showed up. They questioned everyone going down the line of students. My stomach churned as they got closer.
Beano?
One officer said, his pen poised.
Where were you after school yesterday?
I swallowed hard. The truth clawed at my throat, but I couldn't admit it. Not when my dad's reputation, my safety, everything was on the line. I went straight home, I lied. Pain shot up to my shoulder as I looked down. My fingers were locking into place, the skin taking on the same unnatural wooden texture as my leg. I clutched my arm, hiding it behind my back. That's all I know. The officer nodded and moved on, but the damage was done. I darted behind the school building, my breath ragged. I checked my hand. It was wooden, my fingers stiff, immobile. A voice behind me made me jump.
Beano, are you all right?
I turned to see Ms. Evelyn. Her gaze was sharp, too knowing. She asked if I knew anything about Jim's injury. I shook my head, denying it again. But with every word, I felt my body stiffen further, my chest constricting like it was encased in a wooden cage. Ms. Evelyn's eyes bore into me, and she said softly,
Beano, lying won't save you. I can't help if you don't tell the truth.
At home, my dad was waiting, his usual stern expression fixed on me.
Sit down.
He ordered. I obeyed, my legs creaking like ancient floorboards.
What happened at school today?
I hesitated. The room seemed to close in around me. Nothing, Dad. Just a normal day. The wooden transformation surged. My hands froze mid-air. My face stiffened as my nose began to stretch outward. Enough, I blurted, tears spilling. It's my fault. Jim is hurt because of me. I didn't mean to. But my confession did little to soften my father's gaze.
Does anyone else know?
He asked coldly. Miss Evelyn, I admitted. She suspects everything. For a moment, my father said nothing. The silence was unbearable. I dreaded these moments, the calm before the storm. Maybe I had gone too far this time. Maybe I'd finally done something even he couldn't protect me from. I'm sorry, Dad. Tomorrow I'll go to the police. I'll tell them everything. I dropped to my knees, pleading for his forgiveness. I regret what I did, and all the lies. He rose slowly, his movements unnervingly stiff. Under the flickering light, his shadow warped and stretched, revealing something monstrous. My heart froze. His true form emerged, a towering wooden puppet, his face rigid and eerily lifeless.
We don't lie, Bino. We create the truth.
As he spoke, his nose began to extend, the wooden grain cracking as it grew longer. Without a word, he opened a drawer, pulling out a rusty saw. In one swift, he sliced through the wooden length of his nose. Dad? What are you doing?
She'll be handled. You'll learn, just as I did.
As he left, his wooden joints creaking, I sat there, paralyzed. The next day, Miss Evelyn didn't show up. Rumours spread, but no one had answers. I knew, though. Dad had silenced her. More unsettling was the slow realisation that other staff members, teachers, the principal, moved with that same stilted stiffness. They were like me, or worse, like my father. At break time, my friends asked,
"Do you know what happened to Miss Evelyn?"
I hesitated. My wooden fingers tapped against the table. No idea. I would never escape. A puppet, bound by strings I couldn't see, forever performing the lies I told.
The slipper is still in my hand, cold and delicate, catching the light in glimmers. I look into its glassy surface and barely recognize the creature reflected there. A girl with ragged clothes, matted hair, and twisted features. Only last night, I was beautiful with a little help of dark magic. I wore that slipper, I danced in those arms. And now, I am back here, beneath the soot-streaked bricks, crouching in the dark, hiding from my stepmother and her wretched daughters. Then, I hear a murmur from the streets beyond. The prince. He's announced he will marry the girl who fits this slipper. It's a strange hope in my heart, a strange, desperate longing to be the one he sees again, to have that beauty back and hold it forever. But my stepmother, she'd never let me leave this house. Through the dust, I hear her voice shriek from above. They're already gathering their best gowns, my two stepsisters bickering over which jewels to wear, as if any of it would matter. None of them has ever had the slipper on their foot. None of them knows the lightness, the power it brings. But I do. I can hardly stand as I slip through the door and find Clara, the eldest sister, fitting herself into a pile of silk. You're trying the slipper. I whisper, not letting her see the disdain curling my lips. You know you'll need to trim those hideous toes. Clara scoffs, but she eyes her foot nervously. She hates me, loathes me, but she hates her oversized feet even more.
Fine,
She hisses.
but do it for me. Only a little.
She thrusts her foot toward me, and with trembling hands I raise the axe. With each snip her face contorts, but she's greedy as our mother. I slip my fingers under her heel and tighten my grip, watching as her blood trickles, her anger and pain bubbling through a mask of helpless desperation. The first scream dies in her throat when I slit it. It's messy, sticky, and all too thrilling. I feel her warmth sink into my fingers. Her blood seeps over my hands, and, without thinking, I bring it to my mouth. And that taste raw, it feels like the clock winding backward, like youth and beauty are seeping through me again. I lick my hands. I drink from her lifeless palm, and my cheeks flush, the wrinkles smooth. My reflection grows fairer, just as I had been at the ball. Now she's nothing but silence, crumpled on the floor, and yes, I am beautiful once more. But that's not enough. Her younger sister, Helena, comes in next, her brow furrowed as she sees Clara slumped over.
What did you...
She starts, but her suspicion quickly turns to arrogance.
Just leave her there. Clean up later. Help me with my shoes.
I smile, my teeth catching the dim candlelight, and say, I think you should cut off the heel.
Whatever, just make it quick.
Helena never thinks twice. She snaps her fingers, turns her nose up, and believes all will obey. I kneel by her side, sliding her foot toward me, my mind already buzzing with the weight of what I'm about to do. I hold the knife close to her skin, pressing just so, watching her face twist in that perfect moment of realization just before I slice. She yelps, but she's too stunned to fight back. I press down harder and harder until her screams grow muffled, then silent. Her blood is as rich as her sister's, and I drink it down, feeling its heat merge with mine. Each swallow makes my skin smoother, my face softer, my reflection sharper, more enchanting. The darkness within me rises, blossoming like some wicked flower, filling my chest with the thrill of revenge, of beauty, of finally being more than the shadow beneath the stairs. When I stand, I am radiant. I am reborn. Then my dearest stepmother came home. As usual, she barked out orders for me to set the dinner table. I complied, carrying out a lavish platter of meat. I looked radiant, but she didn't spare me a glance. She didn't even notice my change. Her eyes were always reserved for her own daughters, never me. She started eating, and between bites she asked,
Where are the girls? Why aren't they joining us for dinner?
I smiled. Oh, I helped them fit into the glass slipper. I had to trim their toes and shave off their heels. Her chewing slowed, her face pale. Then she gagged. The realization hit her like a thunderclap. She spat out her food and clutched her stomach, retching violently. She had been feasting on her daughter's remains. I seized the opportunity. Moving swiftly, I grabbed her from behind and wrapped my hands around her throat. She struggled, clawing at my arms, but I squeezed tighter until her body went limp and collapsed to the floor. But as I stared at my reflection in the silver tray, I saw the beauty fading, the glow, the perfection slipping away. Desperate, I leaned down and drank from her lifeless body. I couldn't stop. The blood coursed through me, intoxicating and powerful, but I had drunk too much. My skin sagged, my frame distorted. My once delicate features twisted into something grotesque. I had consumed more than blood, I had consumed my own humanity. Then I hear a knock at the door. The prince. His voice calls out, strong and clear, asking for the woman who fits the slipper. I pull myself upright, grasping the slipper, limping and shuddering as I make my way toward him, past the bodies of those who once mocked me. I throw open the door, the slipper clutched in my hand, a desperate smile on my cracked, bloodied lips. The prince's eyes go wide. He stumbles back, his mouth agape as he takes in the horror before him. Wait! I scream, my voice more like a howl now. I shove the slipper toward him, but the soldiers have already drawn their swords. They don't see me. They see a monster. And as they lunge, blades flashing, my final scream echoes through the halls, a shriek of beauty corrupted, of vengeance that demanded too much. I woke up gasping, drenched in sweat, hands clutching my throat like I was choking. It was just a dream. That's what I kept telling myself. But the pain in my neck felt real, like something had been stretched, like I had been hanged and survived. In the dream, my neck had stretched, impossibly long, like an eel gliding through the dark. I floated weightless, led by my own head through the night, past sliding doors and into the garden. That's where I saw them. My husband and a girl, no older than 20. She giggled at something he whispered. He brushed her cheek the way he used to brush mine. And then they kissed, bold and unashamed. Except I was there, or at least my head was. And when he noticed it, my face, my floating head, he screamed and swung his katana. A blur of silver flashed, and I woke up. I sat there, knees drawn to my chest, watching him sleep. His breath was slow, steady, undisturbed, like he hadn't just appeared in my nightmare with another woman. The image still burned behind my eyes. A nightmare, I told myself. A trick of the mind. But deep down, I knew better. That wasn't a dream, it was a warning. In the days that followed, I began to see it. The scent of strange incense on his robes, not the kind I burned for the altar or wore on my sleeves. It lingered, delicate and wrong. One evening, folding his inner kimono, I noticed a faint red smear along the collar. At first, I thought it was crushed plum blossom, but when I touched it, it smeared Benny, lip dye, the kind worn by young courtesans. He laughed when I asked.
Probably from the crowd by the river. Some drunk girl stumbled too close.
But I knew. No one touches a magistrate's robes, not by accident. When I confronted him, he smiled. Not with guilt, but with calm dismissal.
Your mind is too wild. You'll drive yourself mad with superstition. You'll make yourself sick.
Later, I overheard him whispering to his mother, saying I was losing my balance, that I might need rest. She pulled me aside in the garden days later, her hand cold on my wrist.
You mustn't let jealousy consume you. Wear your crimson kimono again. Put on makeup the way he used to like.
I wanted to scream. I wanted to tear my head from my shoulders and fling it at the wall. But I didn't. I bowed. I smiled. I poured tea like a good wife. And every night I dreamed of my neck growing longer, slithering through darkness, creeping toward truth. No one believed me. Not the other women at the market, not the shrine maiden I sought for advice. They all spun the same tale, that I was unstable, that I was unraveling. And he was the victim of a clingy, insecure wife. Then came the night. He was unusually tender. He brought me tea himself, said it was a calming blend from Kyoto.
For your nerves.
He smiled. I should have known. The taste was bitter, unfamiliar, but I drank it anyway, because I still wanted to believe him. I collapsed near the hallway, and from the corner of my fading vision, I saw him, standing over me, watching, then darkness. When I awoke, I couldn't move. My arms hung useless, my throat burned. From rope. He had strung me up from the ceiling beam. My body swayed gently, helplessly. I could hear him moving in the other room, opening jars, striking flint. The scent of lantern oil filled the air. He was setting the house on fire. The flames moved quickly, licking through the shoji walls, devouring everything we built. Smoke poured in, thick and choking. My lungs heaved, but the noose bit deeper. I should have died, but I didn't. Not yet. In that moment between fire and breath, I felt something rise in me. A pull, a pressure. My spine cracked, my throat expanded, my neck stretched. It didn't stop, longer and longer. Until my feet touched the floor again, though I still hung. Until the rope no longer choked me, only the memory of it. Drifting upward, my neck snaking through the fire like a silk banner of death. I slipped out of the burning frame, silent and weightless, into the cold night. Later, the neighbors whispered. They said they saw something rise from the fire. A woman's head, a twisting neck, a floating curse. They gave it a name, Rokurakubi. I became a breath beneath the door, a shadow above the futon, a nightmare woven into tatami. I whispered to unfaithful men. I curled my neck through their walls. I watched them shatter one by one. But the man I was looking for, he had vanished. Until that night, I found him in a new town, a new house, a new wife, pregnant. He still wore that smug, gentle face, the one he used when lying, when controlling. He had rebuilt his life. But I had not forgotten. That night, I slipped through the floorboards of their home. She lay asleep beside him, her belly full. He snored softly, unaware. I hovered above him, my neck stretched like a vine, my face inches from his. His eyes opened, and he screamed. He lunged for the katana beneath the futon, the same katana he once threatened me with in silence. He swung, steel met phantom flesh. My head fell to the tatami with a soft thud. Then it turned and smiled, because you cannot kill what you've already murdered. The woman stirred beside him.
What's happening?
My neck began to coil. Around his legs, his waist, his arms, his throat. It slithered tight and then it rotted. Flesh decayed on contact, black veins blooming beneath his skin. His body shuddered. The face on the floor, mine, began to crack. The eyes clouded, the skin peeled, the mouth opened. I looked at them both, his frozen terror, her rising scream, and whispered, I will always come back, because my neck still stretches, and the longer it grows, the closer I get, and you cannot escape your karma.
They say a musician leaves behind their songs. I wanted more. I was 30, a songwriter with calloused fingers, champagne in my veins, and a belief, no, a conviction, that my DNA deserved immortality. The world needed more of me. Perfect versions, dozens, hundreds. Hospitals limited donations, 10 maximum, but loopholes were everywhere. I found brokers, desperate clinics, underground networks, couples who'd pay for strong bloodlines. I sold vials from my apartment, hotel sinks, public bathrooms, each labeled by hand, premium donor. It thrilled me. Sometimes I'd mix my sperm with another man's, just to see whose DNA would win. I called it genetic roulette, natural selection, fast-forwarded. I made videos, always well lit, shirt unbuttoned, just enough to show off the tattoo on my collarbone. I'd say to the camera, Your legacy is the only thing that lasts. My children will rise. My bloodline will build empires. My YouTube channel, Johnny, father of many. And soon, they came. At first, just a trickle. Nervous young adults knocking on my inbox. DNA kits pointed them here. I found you, one said. You gave me life. Another sobbed. A girl said we shared the same laugh. I cried with her, felt godlike. But then the second wave arrived. They didn't smile, they stared, glassy-eyed, cold. One man brought a photograph. His child slumped in a wheelchair, with an exposed spinal column spiraling outside the skin like a grotesque tail. The boy's eyes were on either side of his head.
This is your grandson,
he whispered. A woman played a video, a creature writhing on the floor, limbs twitching in opposite directions, mouth in the center of her neck. It opened and said,
Daddy?
Then came Emma and Eli, a beautiful couple, pale, gaunt, hands clasped tight. They sat on my porch and said,
We had 7.
I smiled, until they added,
We're siblings.
My stomach dropped. They showed me photos of their children, bloated heads, hairless bodies. One fused to his twin at the abdomen. One had no eyes, just hollows that blinked.
You've flooded the gene pool,
Eli hissed.
Your blood is in everyone. We didn't know, no one knew.
I tried to laugh it off, said I didn't force anyone, that I was helping people, that I was building legacy, but they didn't leave, and they weren't alone. More came. They camped outside my apartment, left dead animals on my doorstep. One night, I found my own YouTube videos playing on every device in my home. Autoplay, my voice on loop. You are your blood. Then I blacked out. I woke strapped to a cold metal slab in a room that smelled of piss, bleach, and rotting meat. Above me, lights buzzed and flickered like they were dying. Around me, figures, dozens. Some crawled, some walked with twisted joints. Others hovered in the corners, swaying like meat puppets on invisible strings. Their skin, blistered, translucent, veined in black and purple. Some had hair like mine, eyes like mine, but their faces, misshapen, asymmetrical, split. One girl had a jaw that opened vertically. Another had no lips, just exposed gums that bled as she smiled. And in front, the creature bearing both Emma and Eli's faces, but only one body. Clad in a surgical apron, its eyes had become sunken pits of sickly yellow.
They're my brothers and sisters. They did not survive.
I screamed as they sliced open my skin without hesitation. The pain wasn't sharp. It was wet, like my body was splitting open like fruit.
You gave us life. Now, we give it back.
They grafted a third eye into my forehead. They sewed an arm, small, malformed, into my chest. It twitched like it had its own heartbeat. They stitched something alive into my spine. I felt it wriggle. It laughed.
It's your grandson. He'll keep you company.
They didn't kill me. They kept me. In a concrete room lined with mirrored walls, I was strapped to a chair, wires embedded in my scalp. My old videos played constantly. Your children will find you. Your DNA is your kingdom. I watched them now, horrified, as the reflections stared back. Not just me, but versions of me. Glitched, mutated, arms twitching, face sagging. The third eye blinked out of sync. The parasite in my back pulsed like a second heart. Every day, a new one arrives. They kneel before me like I'm a god, but their prayers are curses. Their hymns are sobs. They cry from mouths that never should have existed. I don't sleep. I can't. Sometimes the arm on my chest strokes my face. Sometimes the third eye shows me visions of creatures howling in hospital cribs. They call me Origin. I call myself a mistake. The worst part? I still recognize myself in them. In their pain, in their fury, in the way they stare at me not like a father, but a failed blueprint. My voice once said, "Children are the mirror of their parents." Now I understand. Mirrors break, and when they shatter, the shards return. Not to reflect, but to cut.
I'm Edna, and I live in a village near the edge of the forest. The young girls here are often targeted by big wolves, and these red scarves dyed with madder roots are the only things that protect us.
Edna, we need your help. Ruby got hurt and can't go into the forest. Can you take her place?
Of course I can. Every year, the villagers send a girl into the forest to give offerings to the old witch, hoping she'll bring a bountiful harvest.
You have to hand this basket to her and follow her instructions. And remember, don't lose this red scarf, or the wolves will smell you.
I looked at Ruby, who was supposed to go. She looked at me anxiously like she wanted to say something. I know going into the forest is dangerous, but I agreed to take Ruby's place because I want to find out what happened to my sister, Sophie, who disappeared 5 years ago. This forest is always foggy, damp and dark, making it hard to tell day from night. The only colours I see are from the mushrooms. I tried picking one, but even though they look pretty, they smell like rotten meat. I saw some bright red flowers too, but I didn't want to pick them anymore. I heard wolves howling all over the forest. I felt like a pair of bloodthirsty eyes were secretly watching me in the dark. But when I turned around, I didn't see anything. I felt really uneasy. I walked a little further and found a bear. It was lying weakly on the ground, with its leg trapped under a big branch. It looked like it had been there for days. I felt sorry for the bear and wanted to help. I tried lifting the branch, but it wasn't as heavy as I thought. While I was using my red riding hood to bandage the bear's leg, it suddenly thanked me. It scared me.
Thank you, kind girl. To thank you, I'll warn you that a wolf is following you.
I surprised, but quickly responding. Don't worry, I have this red scarf. The wolf won't be able to find me.
No one who's been targeted by the wolf can escape.
Don't worry, I'll go to the witch's house right away. I'll be safe there. I finally found the wooden house in the middle of the forest.
Come in.
The whole house smelled damp and cold. Mushrooms were growing on the corners of the walls and next to the table, making the house seem like it was part of the forest outside. It didn't feel warm or safe at all. It seemed like the owner of this house was very lonely. My name is Edna. The villagers sent me to visit you. Are you sick?
Yes, I'm sick. So please let me lie in bed and don't come near me.
I thought fresh food might make the old woman feel better. But when I opened the basket, all the food was rotten. This is strange. It shouldn't take more than half a day to get here from the village. How could the food go bad so quickly?
You must be hungry. I've made you a mushroom soup.
I did as she said and opened the pot of soup, but the soup inside was dark and thick, with a fishy smell that made me want to throw up. I don't make the old woman sad. I secretly poured the soup away. The soup was delicious. Thank you for dinner. The lonely old woman wanted me to stay with her for the night, but in the middle of the night, I was woken up by the sound of her whispering with someone. Curious, I looked towards the door. The person I thought was an old woman had a face exactly like my sister. Sophie.
Hansel, you're late.
That girl dropped her red scarf, which made me lose track and eat a corpse. It was disgusting.
She ate the mushroom soup and fell asleep. Just like our agreement. You take the soul, and I take the body.
Was my poor sister possessed like this too? My whole body froze, and I ran out of that scary house, trembling. It turned out that the sacrifice wasn't the offerings I brought, but myself. I have to escape this forest and expose the horrible truth to the villagers. The bright red flowers from the day were actually dried pools of blood, and the colourful mushrooms grew from them. They were the ones causing the hallucinations. It seems these mushrooms were the real cause of the illusions. I met the bear I had saved again, but it had been dead for days, its body rotting, its stomach ripped open. Suddenly, a cold wind rushed by, making my hair stand on end. Hansel had caught my scent. Terrified and desperate, I tried to back away from the evil creature. My hand crushed a cluster of mushrooms. These mushrooms, although they caused me to hallucinate, also made me stronger. I recklessly grabbed the whole cluster and ate them greedily. A feeling of dizziness washed over me. A sense of power filled my entire body. I stubbornly charged forward and attacked, stabbing the village chief in the eye, making him scream in pain. After taking down the wolf, I ran away, but Sophie blocked my path. Her body had rotted, turning into a giant, hideous mushroom. I picked up the bear bone and rushed to fight, but the person in front of me was just an illusion. Confused, I looked at my hand, and suddenly my stomach felt like it was being pierced through with pain. The feeling of pain pulled me out of the hallucination. It turned out I was just struggling in vain. That bastard Hansel had caught me, taken over me. My body was being enveloped by the mushrooms. I could clearly feel my soul being gradually sucked away. There was no more pain, no more torment, only a numbness that led to death.
No! I don't want to eat sahur!
Tun 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 sahur. Share this with friends who don't eat sahur.
I remember the TikTok. It was meant to be a joke. It had millions of views. Millions. I wanted that for my channel. Anato 6. So I booked my flight to Indonesia. We picked a narrow alley in Yogyakarta. Quiet, grimy, lit only by the dim orange of half-working street lamps. I hired a local actor to wear a ridiculous costume I designed. Exaggerated limbs, painted mask, cartoonish bat. Locals warned us. One old man stared us down, muttered something in Bahasa that I barely caught.
Jangan main-main. Itu bukan untuk lelucon.
My fixer translated, eyes low.
He said, "Don't play with what you don't understand."
We laughed. Come on, it's just a meme. I even shouted down the alley, arms raised. If the real Tung Tung Sahur is out there, come on, show yourself, give us a scare. We laid out a full spread. Nasi lemak, beef rendang, sweet tea. Everything framed perfectly under our soft lights. The plan was simple. I'd pretend to sleep on a mat while our actor banged a drum 3 times off screen. Tongue, tongue, tongue. I don't respond. Then, on the 4th beat, he storms in, smacks me with the bat, shoves food in my mouth and dances to the audio.
Tung 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 sahur. A terrifying anomaly that only appears during sahur.
We hit record. The first takes were hilarious, until they weren't. On the final shot, just after our actor finished his bit and stepped off camera, tongue, a 4th drum beat. But no one was supposed to hit it yet. I sat up. Who did that? No answer. Our cameraman, Buddy, chuckled, unsure.
Wasn't me.
Then tongue, tongue, 2 more. But this sound wasn't part of our gear. It was deeper, wetter, like something rotting was vibrating inside the drumhead. Then, tongue, the 4th. The lights blew out, street lamps dimmed to a dying ember, and something stood behind the feast. It was not our actor. This thing was taller, broader. Its mask wasn't foam, it was real wood, rotting and splintered. The bat in its hand wasn't fake. It was gnarled, heavy and stained with something dark. We froze. I tried to laugh. Okay, who's messing with us? But my voice cracked. Budi stepped forward.
I'm checking this out.
He reached for the mask. The thing moved like lightning. Crack! The bat dropped onto his head. His skull collapsed like an eggshell. Blood sprayed across the table. Then came the screaming. We ran, split down different alleys, stumbling through tight corridors and flickering shadows. Behind me, tongue, a slow beat. Then ahead, tongue. It didn't run, it didn't need to. It knew the alleys better than us. It herded us. One by one, my team vanished. I heard Nia's voice, our assistant, crying, choking. Then, crack. I ducked into a mushola, a small neighborhood prayer room. Inside, an old man sat cross-legged, whispering prayers. He didn't look up.
You brought it here. You mocked the Sahur call. You summoned judgment.
I begged him for help.
You turned sacred rhythm into performance. And now you must face the consequences. You don't belong here.
He said coldly.
Run.
I found an empty house a few doors down. Dead plants, cracked windows, something ancient in the dust. I locked the door, shoved a chair under the knob, collapsed in the corner. But then, tongue. I jolted awake. Tongue. No, please. Not again. Tongue. The third beat. Then the fourth. It stooped to pass through the doorway, impossibly tall, a towering silhouette that defied reason. Its mask was fractured, the broken pieces revealing dark, hollow voids beneath, pulsing hunger.
Wake up and eat.
I ran. It followed. Through the rotting house, smashing through walls like they were paper. I tripped, fell down a staircase, felt my shins snap. I crawled. It caught me. It didn't kill me. It broke me. One arm, then the other, legs next. It set me upright like a doll at the dinner table, the one we had prepared.
You will not waste Sahur.
It hissed. It shoved cold rendang into my mouth. I gagged, vomited. It scooped it up, shoved it back in.
You prepared this meal.
It whispered.
You will finish it.
I don't know how long it went on. I chewed through the tears, through pain, through blood and bile. Because if I didn't, it beat me harder. Until the plate was clean, until the table was empty. And when it was satisfied, it stood, looked down on me, silent, then turned, and vanished into the dark. I collapsed to the floor. Everything in me screamed. My stomach twisted, my limbs hung uselessly. But worse than the pain was what settled in my chest. Regret. Not for chasing the views, not for flying halfway around the world for a video, but for the blasphemy, for making a meme out of something sacred, for mocking what others revere, for turning ritual into spectacle, faith into content,